Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I will share with you a very nice bag recipe that I prepared from Rafip, whose model belongs to a famous brand. First of all, let's see our model closely. We will work on a very easy model. Look, our bag will consist of 3 parts, front and back. We will prepare a whole piece that forms the bellows and the base. We will also make our handles from knitting, just like in the original. Such a long strap was used in the original bag. I also evaluated the hanger in my hand again. There was a bag inside the bag. If you want, you can put a bag or sew a lining. It's entirely up to your taste. It's a really nice bag. It is very easy to make. I'm sure even those who start knitting for the first time can easily do this. We will knit only 3 pieces and combine them. We will also knit and prepare a handle. And you can also use a long hanger like this if you have it, or you can make this hanger from knitting. It's entirely up to your taste. It is a really enjoyable production, and I shared it with you step by step through all its stages. I hope that will be useful. I want to show you the inside of the bag right away. This is also curious. The depth is very nice. It was a bag suitable for daily use. The measurements are also available in the video. You can prepare this in any size you want. You can prepare smaller or larger ones in any size you want once you understand the logic behind them. This bag will even look great on the beach. Before moving on to our detailed recipe, I would like to make a small request from you. You can subscribe to our channel for free. I would be really happy if you like the video and leave your comments. Let's move on to our recipe. For my bag, I will use soft knitted shelf yarn that I bought from AXA Knitting Boutique. 2 balls are enough. We use approximately 200 grams of yarn per 100 grams of yarn. We only have a little more yarn from the second ball of yarn. It is also worth mentioning this. Now look, our bag consists of 3 pieces. Look at the front, back, and the bellows point. We will knit 3 pieces that form the side and the bottom. We will knit all 3 in the same way. Now, when we describe the model, you will see how easy it is. Now I want to share with you the measurements in centimeters. Look here, the front and back measurements in centimeters are 20 centimeters and the length is 21.5 centimeters. The other one was knitted in the same way. Now the side bellows. Look at the bellow part. I did not break the thread here while knitting the long piece. If it's missing, I'll knit it. I knitted too many rows because if it was too much, I would unravel it and take it off at this point. That's why I didn't cut my thread. The width of this side bellows piece is about 10 centimeters, about 9.5, 10 centimeters. As I said, his height is a matter of eye. Look, please. If I say, he is 61 centimeters tall. Now let's move on to describe our model to you. We will knit 3 pieces. Look, the front, the back, and a long rectangular piece. Now that we have described the model, you can prepare it in any size you want. I will use 3.5 mm crochet hook to knit my bag. You can determine your own crochet number according to the thinness and thickness of your own yarn, the density and looseness of your knitting. The knitting is really very soft raffia. It doesn't strain your hand at all as if you were knitting cotton. Now we start by pulling the chain. We create our first loop by locking our first chain here. Now I will also give the numbers here. I drew 32 chains for the front and back pieces. While knitting these 2 pieces, I started with 32 chains. While knitting the other long piece, I started with 16 chains. Now, since I will describe a small example here, I will start with fewer chains. We prepare our starting chains so that they are a little looser than the setting we knitted when pulling our chains. We will knit the first row of single crochet on the chain. Our number of single crochets should be odd, so we will have numbers like 3, 5, 7, 11. Number of single crochets. Now let's pull our chain of 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Look, we start the chain with an even number. Our number of single crochets should be odd. Now when I start, I turn the reverse part of the chain, not the straight part. We're going to use the dashed lines here in the back. We'll start by sinking these points. I leave the 10th chain. I dug into the back cut line of the 9th chain and removed the loop from this point. I have 2 stitches to fill. I knitted my single needle by threading both of them through. I made a loop by digging into the back cut line of another chain. 1 single crochet again. This first row will continue in this way with single crochet. I got 31 single crochets in the big piece. We have 31 single crochets in the front and back pieces. I obtained a total of 15 single needles in the point I call the long bellows piece within the long piece. Now the numbers are odd numbers, don't notice. Now we will get 9 single crochets here again, and look at the 9 single crochets. We will have established our last chain model. Once you understand the logic of the model here, you will knit the pieces very easily. You can work in any size you want. Not only a very small bag like this, but larger beach-sized bags will also be very nice. With this model, you can adjust the width and length as you wish. Now we knitted 9 single needles in the beginning. We will pull chains on the turns. I immediately pull one chain and reverse my knitting and dive into the first space that comes up. Look, I immediately dive into the first space and knit a single needle. When I come to the second single crochet, I sink to the bottom of the needle, not to the top space. Look, I am sinking to the bottom of the needle I knitted, so it will coincide with the chained point. I sink into the bottom of the second needle and pull it out by lengthening my stitch. I make a long stitch and knit it again as a single crochet stitch. We will work one short and one long single crochet. I immediately prick the top of another single needle that comes next. I am knitting a short regular single crochet. I sink to the bottom of the other needle. Look, we make sure to extend our loop by sinking to the bottom, not into the head space. We knit our single needle by stretching it long. Look, one short and one long. One short and one long, one on top and one on the bottom. We are moving forward, one at the top and the other at the bottom. Immediately after making a long needle, I make another short needle. Look, I looked at the top. I immediately sink to the bottom of the other needle. When you find the top, look at the bottom. It can be easily seen this way. We proceed in the form of one short and one long. At this stage, until the end of the sequence, if you think it is fast, you can slow down the video or conversely speed it up. Look, the reason we are making an odd number now is to finish it the same way we started. Now look, we are at the end of the line here. This is our last single crochet after a long crochet. We finish with a short single crochet as in the beginning by inserting it into the top of the last single crochet. We started with short, we finished with short single crochet. Then we pull a chain and turn our knitting again. Now we will proceed with the same logic again. But look, the sunset points will look different. Don't let this mislead us. Look at the long single crochets. The long stitches are quite noticeable. Short loops are also evident. You see the headspace of each. Now we will dive into the bottom of the shorts. We will sink to the tops of the tall ones, to the bottom of the short ones, and to the top of the long ones. Now we have made our new turn with a chain. It started with a short single needle. Look, when we turn our knitting, the short single needle that greets us immediately. Look, I am sinking into the bottom of this short single needle, not the top. So I knitted the short single needle, sinking into the bottom part. I'm lengthening my loop because I'm going to start with a long loop, then a long loop comes and I'm going to sink at the top of the long loop. Look, right here, I'm sinking at the top, short single crochet. The knitting actually consists of a single row, one short and one long single crochet. The only things we will pay attention to here are the endings and beginnings and the sunset points. Now I saw the short SC. See short single crochet? I'm getting right to the bottom of this. This is the top. Here is the bottom. When I turn it upside down, our eyes will quickly get used to it. We sink right to the bottom of the short stitch, lengthen our stitch, and knit our long stitch. Then comes the long single crochet. Make a short needle right at the top of this. Look at the bottom of the short, on the wrong side. If you make a mistake, make sure to look at the braid from the straight side. Long needle that sinks into the bottom. We prick the top of the long needle. See it this way. From here, both of them stand apart in a V shape of the length. We sink right in the middle of the length. Short single crochet. Look at the short one, the short V-shaped one. We sink to the bottom. In this way, the model is just that. Now let's complete this sequence. Short C long at the end. So since the last one is short single crochet, I will sink to the bottom and finish with long single crochet. So what did we do when we started? We started with long single crochet. Now I immediately sink to the bottom and knit my long needle. Look, we started long, we finished long. Now I pull a chain and turn my knitting, and look, a long single needle greets me. What was I doing? I was sinking right into the top of it. I sank and I'm sinking to the bottom of the single needle, short single needle. We proceed in the form of long single needle, long, short, short, long. It's very easy. I finish by pulling a chain again and making the same turns. Look, we will create our model like this. It seems short, we will immediately sink to the bottom and continue with long single crochet. We created the model in this way. I also gave the numbers. We got 31 single crochets here. In this long piece, we prepared our model with 15 single crochets. How did I do this? After knitting the front pieces, I knitted 2 front pieces. Look, I made a frame by holding this long piece from this inner part to surround this. As I said, eye judgment. This is how I set it up. I judged the length by eye, but I didn't cut my thread so that if there was too much or less, I could easily add or remove it here. Now we will move on to combining them. Now let's bring these 3 parts into a whole. Now I got my rope here. Look, I'll start from this edge point. I will buy this piece immediately. Here I will stitch from the inside just like in the original. Look, let's create our first stitch in a chain with 1 stitch. Then look, after the last long single needle I knitted, I pulled a chain and broke my thread. I just created my loop at this point and I'm sinking into this first point to the top, and here I get my piece again. I make sure that it coincides with the part on the flat part. Look, I'm turning the flat point to this side, and here I'm inserting the last needle into the point at the end. I dipped into both points and made a loop. I had already created a loop. I'm filling up. I knit single crochet by knitting 2 stitches at the same time. We will combine it with single crochet. We will hide these short strings for last. Now by sinking into the appropriate spaces, now look, I have sunk into the tops of the long needles. Now I'm sinking right into that bottom part. Look at it from here. Let's not get lost and stretch our rope too much. We will knit our single needles by inserting them into the appropriate spaces. Look, I'm getting to the point right now. I'll take it like this. Dip into the point where the other long single needle is and remove the stitch and knit a single needle. Take a look right now and stick needles into these gaps. We will see this easily when we get our hands on it. I insert it into the appropriate spaces and join it with a single needle. Look, I come to the appropriate spaces and knit my single needle. We will combine it this way. Look right here, after joining the long side, we will also join the base and the other side. After the process I did here, I will turn it and do the same process starting from here, and we will bring these 3 pieces into a whole. Look, as I explained to you, we have brought all 3 parts into a whole in this way. Now my thread is left here last. Look, we have completed the joining from here. Now we have a row of single needles at the mouth. We will knit it, then we will move on to making the handle part. Now, after inserting the last stitches on the last single needle here, pull a chain and look at the top of the first single needle in the corner. I'm sinking. I'm going to immediately sink into the top of another single needle, and now I'm going to knit 1 single needle by inserting into the top of each single needle. We only sink into the peaks. See it this way. We will pass the whole thing with single crochet in this way. Look, we will finish the mouth part with single crochet by sinking into the appropriate spaces in the corner until the end of the row. I've reached the end of the line. I'm sinking into the last void here. I knitted my single needle. After the single needle, I lengthened my yarn by 10 to 15 centimeters, cut it in the middle, remove the rope from the ball, and now look. At this point, I knit first, I sink to the top of the single needle, I pass this short rope from front to back, then I knitted it last. Look at the back cut line of the single needle and the outer wing of the yarn. We make a nice finish like this by sinking to the point where it came and taking the rope back in from here. Now look, we have finished the single crochet of the mouth part. Now we will hide this short rope by sinking it into suitable gaps inside. Now let's move on to knitting our handle part. We will hide this by fixing it inside. Now let's knit the handle part. Look, we will first prepare our stem like this. At the beginning I leave a length of rope approximately 50 centimeters to mount it on the bag. Then first look, I create our loop with a chain. After the lock chain, I draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chains. After 6 chains, I reverse the chain again. I left the 6th chain and made a single crochet by sinking into the back cut line of the 5th chain. Now I made 5 stitches by sinking into the back cut line of each chain. We will knit single needle in total. If you want your stem to be thicker, you can increase or decrease this number. You can adjust the thinness and thickness according to yourself. We knitted our 5 single needles. I make chainless turns. I stretch the stitch slightly and reverse my knitting, and I continue to knit single needle again by sinking into the first space that comes up. Meanwhile, I knit 5 single needles. I will have a needle 2, see inserting the top spaces 3, 4, and the result is 5 single crochet, 5th single needle, see the row is over. I stretch the stitch again and reverse my knitting. I knit 5 single crochets by inserting into the first space. Let's show the last point. Look, in the last part we knit directly single crochet like this. The model consists of single crochet only. Now we continue in this way until there are 45 rows in total. I finished in 45th place. I'm pulling a chain. Here I cut my rope enough to assemble my bag and remove the end of my rope from a direct chain. Now I will measure in centimeters. Look, I prepared both in the same way. In the meantime, let's make sure we have flexibility. Now let's share with you the measurements in centimeters. Wide. In this form we will now connect this point, 3 centimeters wide. The length of the handle I prepared is 31 centimeters. This size is enough for me, but as I said, you can make it longer or shorter. Now I immediately take the end of my rope again. I bought one of the stems I had prepared. Look, at this point, let's leave 2, 4, 5. Let's even leave it at 6. I double it 2, 4, 6 again from this side. Let's sink to the same point opposite each other. I take the end of the rope and even create a loop with the chain with a loop like this so that it will be strong. I created my loop. Look, I'm passing the loop here. I immediately pulled my chain like this. Now I will keep the short rope inside and hide it where there are mutual frequent needles sinking into the gaps. I will make a loop. I will slide the stitch I removed from my waiting stitch. Look, I make the handle in 2 layers using the sliding method. And here are the 6 rows. Look, I will leave the ends of this handle part so that we can mount it to our final bag with this rope. Now, let's show it once again. I'm sinking into the next void. I sink into the appropriate space opposite and make a loop. I slide the stitch I removed from the waiting stitch. I fold the middle part of the handle in 2 layers like this. There will also be openings at the beginning and end. We will mount it on our bag through those openings. Just like in the original look, we will have left 6 rows of single needles at the beginning and end. See, such an appearance will be created. Now let's prepare the other handle as we described. Then let's move on to assembling our bag. Look, in our bag, we placed our handle with the etamine needle. I also attached a leather long strap using spring rings like this. You cannot wear it if you want. The original had a hanger like this. You can also make this from knitting if you want. It's entirely up to your taste. And I placed a bag like this inside. The original bag had a zippered bag. You can also use ready-made bags that way, or you can line it inside. This is entirely up to your taste. It was a really nice work. If I were to give the measurement of our last bag, its width is 22 centimeters. Its length is also 22 centimeters. We made a square bag like this, let's just say the most part. The blindest part, including the base, was 10 centimeters in size. Look at our handle. It was a really nice, enjoyable, and easy work. You can easily finish such a bag in one day if you use raffia like this, because raffia was really easy to knit. It was like this in our recipe. As I said, I used 200 grams of ref yarn, and my yarn increased a little from 200 grams. It is worth mentioning that I wish good luck to those who will make it. Do not forget to like our video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. Goodbye until we see you in the next video.